Hey beauties, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the brand new Urban Decay Naked Reloaded palette. I'm going to show you guys two different looks, this one right here as well as this look. I'm going to be showing you guys swatches. I have used every single shade in this palette so I know how I feel about it, as well as comparing it to this Sultry palette from Anastasia Beverly Hills, because I'm seeing a lot of comparisons and I'm going to show you just how similar they actually are. So let's go ahead and talk about this palette. First off, I'm sorry I have to talk about the packaging on this because I am obsessed with it. Orchids are my favorite flower. I specifically wore this shirt today so that you guys could see, in case you didn't know. Like, I have orchids tattooed with a mic right here, but I have orchids tattooed on my arm. Like, I love orchids, and it was the first flower that Puffin actually ever got me, and I was so sad because I originally lived in Nashville and my apartment there, it was a perfect spot for my orchid that he had gotten me, and then we moved to where we are now. The house was good, it lived, and then we moved here, and the lighting here just was not conducive, and I lost my orchid, and I was very, very sad about it. But that really has nothing to do with the palette other than the print on it. But this is beautiful. The packaging is unlike anything that Urban Decay has ever done. I can tell that it's cardboard, but the top has like that puff, you know, like a puff filled, I don't know. It's soft, it's squishy, it feels nice, and it's just stunning to look at. And then inside we have a mirror, and then these are the shades. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the swatches. We have Bribe, Barely Baked, Angel Fire, Retro, Reputation, Burn, Endgame, Dream Weaver, Distilled, Buck, Boundaries, and Blur. The palette retails for $44, and on the Urban Decay website it does not say if it's limited edition or not. I'm thinking that it's going to be permanent. I mean, it makes a great piece to add to the line. I think this is something that they were missing. So let's read the description. It reads, the Essential Naked Palette featuring 12 all new essential shades to redefine neutral with Urban Decay's signature formula. Bonus, we made the 4 outer pans in the palette bigger for the shades you'll use the most, which I think is really nice. I didn't even realize until I saw that it said 4, because I could tell obviously that this shade and this shade was larger, but then looking at it I can also see that these two are just slightly bigger than the ones in the middle. So that was really smart, because this is the shade that you're going to use to set all over your eye if you are somebody that does that, or as a brow arch. And this is such a good blending or blurring out an edge of something, or even using it all over the lid. So I really like that they did that. From silky mattes and metallics to iridescent micro shimmers, these 12 versatile shadows contain our mind-blowing formula with a velvety texture, rich color, and extreme blendability. Now that we have seen and talked about the palette, I'm going to go ahead and get into both of the eye looks, and I'm going to start off with the one that I am currently wearing. I'm starting this look off with the shade Retro on a Wayne Goss number 18. I'm starting on the outer corner and then working the shade upwards. As I'm bringing the shade upwards, I slowly start to bring it into the crease and work it up as a transition shade. I applied this shadow a couple times to get the pigmentation that I wanted, but it blended out beautifully. Next, I'm taking the same shade on a Smith 220, and I'm kind of stamping and smudging that right along the lower lash line. Now I'm going in with the shade Buck on an Esom S33. I'm starting on the outer corner, and then I'm bringing it into the crease and using soft circular motions to blend this out. I just want to add a little bit of definition into the crease and kind of soften up that peach shade that we laid down. After that, I'm sticking with the same brush and I'm taking the shade Burn. Again, I'm applying that to the outer corner, but this time with the intentions of smoking it out. So I'm applying it to the outer corner, bringing it into the crease, and slowly working it upward and outward on mainly the outer portion of the eye. For the lid, I'm going to take the shade Reputation and an ESIM W21. I'm going to use packing and swiping motions to apply this all over the lid and tapping over the last shade that we put down and bringing it all the way up to the crease. To finish off the look, I'm taking the shade Bribe on a MAC 242 and I'm using this dry to highlight my brow arch. I'm also going to add this shade to the inner portion of the eye and over the last shade that's on the lid. I'm also going to drag it right underneath the lower lash line as well. But I want to make this just a little bit more intense, so I'm going to use this shade Wet and concentrate it just on the very inner portion of the inner corner. And then to finish off the eye look, I used Milk Boss liner and then just mascara. The second look is a more smoky eye look, and I'm going in with an ESIM W21. I'm taking the shade Dream Weaver and I'm applying that in a tapping and swiping motions to the lid. I'm going to again take this shade, except I'm going to use it damp this time to help prevent any fallout. And I'm using it on a Tom Ford number 12, and I am just going back and forth on the lower lash line. Next, I'm going in with an ESIM S33 and yet again, the same shade, and I'm blending this into the crease. And then I start to smoke it up and outward. Now I'm picking up the shade Boundaries, which I absolutely love, on a Wayne Goss number 18, and I'm blending around the edges of the last shade that we put down. I feel like this color paired with the last shade we put down just blends so beautifully. I'm also going to take that shade on the lower lash line with a Wayne Goss number 20 and just buff out the lower lash line as well. On an ESIM W23, I'm taking the shade Blur to highlight the brow arch. And then I'm going to switch it up and use Angel Fire Dry on a Royal & Langnickel BOM 601 Pro to highlight the inner corner. And then to finish off the look, I'm using Milk Boss liner and the top inner rim, just like the first look, and a little bit of mascara. Thoughts on the palette, aside from the outer packaging, like I can't help but just like look at this and love the way this looks. I just think it's like the best packaging. It's so pretty. But let's talk about the shadows inside. I think this is the best naked palette that they have ever put out, and that's just my personal opinion. All the shades worked well for me. I really love this shade right here, Boundaries. It's really silky. It has a slight micro shimmer in there, but it really doesn't show up on the lid. There's just something about this color that I really like. It looks like a typical warm shade, but it's slightly different. And again, I really like that both of those at the end are much bigger. The next shade that I really liked was Retro, which is on my eyes today. And then I had no issues with the shimmers. I definitely think you could go in with those wet and have it to be more metallic. And then this shade right here, Angel Fire, definitely looks better with it wet because it's one of those more toppery type of shades. So you can go in with it and actually just like tap over one of the other shades if you wanted to like that glittery duochrome effect, or you can use it wet to make it more intense and metallic. I had this gold shade and this shade as well as some of these in my last video talking about the Tarte foundation, and I really liked that eye look that I did, but I didn't film that one. I just wanted to put two in here, but I really wanted to make sure that I used everything in the palette. I think it's beginner friendly. Everything just blends out really effortlessly. You're just not going to have any problems with this palette. Now, This is where it gets a little interesting because I saw some people talking about how this reminded them of the Anastasia Sultry Palette, and I gotta say, there are definitely some similarities. I'm going to show them right here, but now I'm also going to insert a picture side by side so you can see them. The Sultry palette from Anastasia Beverly Hills retailed for $45, but it's currently, as of right this second, on sale at Sephora for $27, and it's limited edition. And if I was going to pick between the two, I would go with the Sultry. So if you were wondering about that, I do like the Sultry just a little bit better. I find these to be slightly more pigmented, and I find that this palette leans a little bit more on the neutral cool, as to where I find this one leans a little bit more on the neutral warm side. Now I'm going to swatch these side by side, so I'm going to have them top and bottom, the top being the Urban Decay and the bottom being the Sultry palette. One of the biggest differences I can tell you, other than the fact that the Sultry palette definitely has more of the cool tones in here, this one packs just a little bit more of a punch when it comes to the metallics. This one can still pack a punch if you use them wet, but I feel like dry, these pack more of a punch than these do. And now side by side, I took the shades that I felt were similar, because obviously this one contains grays and this one does not. I just picked the shades that were similar in each of these, like that light gold, obviously the peachy shade, and some of the browns and whatnot, and I put them side by side. In these swatches, Urban Decay is swatched first, and I think it's a little easier to see the differences when they are swatched directly side by side. And I'm also going to include a clip of a video of them so that you can see the differences. Sometimes it's really hard to see in pictures, or even me holding the palettes up side by side. There are subtle differences, but there's definitely a lot of similarities. I feel like you can get similar looks with both of the palettes. I don't think that if you have one that you necessarily need the other. If you're more interested in trying out like the cool tones, but you're a little scared of it, I think the Sultry palette's definitely the way to go. If you don't like any cool tones at all, I think the Urban Decay palette is the way to go. But again, if I was going to choose, it would be the Sultry. I think it's just a little bit better quality, but I'm not mad at this palette. I do think this is a good palette, and I definitely think that I will get use out of this palette. So I would recommend this one, but I just wanted to make sure that for you guys that already have the Sultry, or maybe you don't have either or and you're trying to decide, you guys could see the differences and similarities between them. If you've tried them both, let me know which one you like better. If you're interested in one or the other, or yada yada, you guys just let me know down below. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you're not already, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.